Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here. You've already heard from me a little bit in the video, and really want to emphasize that today and tomorrow is about you. It's about you. It's about the communities that you represent. Every time we talk about energy communities, it is not the bricks and mortar per se. It's not the roads and bridges and infrastructure, although we want to invest in those. When we talk about communities, it's about the people who represent those communities, the people who live there, work there every day, and how we can create a diverse economy across the country, and in particular, not leave energy communities behind. And so, again, I thank you for being here to set the stage. When I say this is about you and it's about the communities, what we want to come out of over the next day and a half is one, do a little bit of celebration. We have been able to see tens of billions of dollars of public sector investment going into communities, but we also know that not everyone has seen that type of investment. Not every community has been touched, and there's a lot of work to do. There's still a lot to happen to make sure, one, even the $20 billion of public sector investment, or the $60+ billion of private sector investment that has gone into energy communities over the last 3 years, to make sure that it doesn't leave communities behind, to make sure that it doesn't leave people behind. There's still a lot of work, everything from supporting workers and their families, to workforce training, to making sure that the community sees the benefits of those types of investments. So, what I charge you from the get-go today is don't be shy. If there are challenges left ahead, that's why we're here. We want to lay out the framework for, one, where we've been, where we are today, and where we're going, what still is on the table that needs to happen. So we have a really great agenda, all kinds of great speakers from across the community, but I want to set the stage very early that this is an interactive event. I'm really glad that many of you were able to show up a little bit early, connect with some of the agency representatives out in the hallway, connect with some of your colleagues, and I did have one comment already this morning. I've already had my price of admission paid for with the connections I made in the hallway, and so it's only going to get better from there. So we're really grateful that you've taken your time to brave the heat and humidity of Washington, D.C., cybersecurity and software challenges to get here for some, which has actually kept a few of our folks away, and braved even some of the tornado warnings last night. We're really glad that you're here in this room today and hopefully through tomorrow. So we want to share some of our successes. We want to share struggles. We want to again, lay all of the cards on the table of what we need to keep doing to make sure that we're charting the course for revitalized communities into the future. So first, let's celebrate a little bit. We heard over $20 billion of federal sector investment, and of that, there's been about $4.8 billion or so that didn't require a cost share. We've heard and we know that's a huge challenge. We've had almost $10 billion into energy infrastructure, again, into energy communities. Another, almost $3 billion in environmental cleanup, and these are the projects that are going already, which, if you look at our clearinghouse, you know that's dwarfed by what's still out there. So we want to build partnerships. The partnerships that go to the state level, and we're going to hear from some representatives of some great work that's happening in the states, to make sure that the federal formula funding that then goes to be implemented in the states is seeing the benefits that we need it to see. And so to that end, I'm going to mention just very briefly, and I want to quickly hand it off to our first set of speakers. Last week, I had the opportunity to go to Weirton, West Virginia. And in Weirton, if you're not familiar with Weirton, West Virginia, the still mill, Weirton Still, used to have 12,000 workers at the still mill, down to about 400. But over the last week, I visited Form Energy, which is in Weirton as an energy community building batteries, and they broke ground last May. The Secretary of Energy was there. They broke ground in May, And 14 months later, they're actually producing, on the end of their assembly line, the test cells for an air-ion battery in an energy community in West Virginia. And just yesterday, we saw an announcement by Cleveland Cliffs in Weirton that they're going to build distribution transformers, much needed in our energy infrastructure, and do it again in an energy community. Just really exciting. Last week I was also in Ohio, where Ohio State University and Montana State University are convening folks from around the world. This was a global conference on coal energy transitions to try to learn what we're doing. And so we can celebrate that we're taking the first big steps to make sure we're not leaving communities behind. But then again, let's chart our path forward as we're going to continue to not leave communities behind. And so when I think about the current state of play, never, and certainly not in my lifetime or in anybody's lifetime in this room, had we had an opportunity like we do now to make sure we're investing in energy communities, and that all of the new manufacturing in the clean energy space that is going on has an opportunity to move into our energy communities and make sure that we're revitalizing through quality, family-sustaining jobs. And so we're going to ask a few questions and hope that what we hear today, one, how can we drive investments into energy communities more quickly? There is an urgency. That urgency is because folks are losing jobs or have lost jobs already. What strategies should we pursue to attract private sector investment? I know that's a question that has come already. So we're going to try to unpack how we can bring in more private investment into energy communities. How we can help communities with low capacity increase the capacity that they have on the ground, the local capacity. And so we have a really exciting announcement. If anybody saw some press releases this morning about how we're going to put some capacity into communities, and I'll turn it to that one next. And so another question I want us to pose is, in the areas where we know that there's a mine or a plant that's going to close, what do we do now to prepare for the future? So we've triaged in many communities that we react to the closure. Let's now start looking forward and planning ahead. And to that end, what do we need to do? And this is a question I ask, please, all of you. The group think in this room, the ability to understand what happens to energy communities is unprecedented. I want to tap into this collective expertise, and let's identify what do we still need to do in the next 3, 6, 9 years. What do we need to do by the end of this decade as we navigate the transition? What policies do we need to have in place? What resources and investments do we not have yet? So please give some thought to that, and we want to continue. And we're going to be delivering a report later this year based on a lot of what we find today and what we've been hearing from communities. So please, let your voice be heard, and we're going to deliver that report to the desk of the President by the end of the year. So with that, I want to introduce our first very distinguished set of speakers and a fireside chat. So I'm delighted to introduce one of our co-chairs, Lil Brannert, who's the Director of the National Economic Council. She not only chairs the Energy Communities IWG, co-chairs the Energy Communities IWG, but is an absolute champion for our work and place-based investment here in the country. And it is such a great pleasure to work with Dr. Brannert and her team from the NEC. So with that, I would invite Leo up. And as Leo is coming up, I'm also going to introduce Michael Smith, the CEO of AmeriCorps. It's the organization we all know and admire as a federal agency for service and volunteering. And I'm not going to preempt them, but they've got some exciting news today. So Leo and Michael, please come forward.